I am only 27 years late, but I finally played Resident Evil 2 for the first time, and I was absolutely blown away. I've been a fan of the franchise for years, having played all of the numbered titles since RE4, as well as the Revelations games. But the original games had never clicked for me, until now that is. Having to play this game 4 times to see all the scenarios was initially a daunting task for me, but by the end, it was an experience that I was relishing in. I'm typically not someone who loves replaying a game right after finishing it. With so many games to play nowadays, I'll usually have another game lined up and will put a game on the shelf for a few years after I finish it before I play it again. But that did not apply here. I was so excited to see how the formula was changed between each scenario, and was flying through this game in the later scenarios as I was made familiar with the mechanics and layout of this game. Mastering the tank controls alone felt rewarding, with me running around like an idiot at first, but by the end I was weaving through enemies, and every time it brought a smile to my face. Mastering the weapons and figuring out which weapon was the right tool for the job was satisfying as well. Resident Evil is known for its puzzles, but choosing the right weapon for a given situation is a puzzle in itself. Making sure you have acid rounds to take down lickers, or whipping out the explosive rounds, bowgun, or shotgun if there was a crowd of zombies. Or hell, sometimes your best choice is to forget weapons and just run by. This was something I was relatively clueless about at first, which made it even more exciting to run it back for the other scenario for that character with knowledge now on my side.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe!
I have obviously heard a lot about this game over the years as someone who is chronically online watching YouTube videos, but I tried to come into this game as blind as possible to save as many surprises as possible. I did start out on easy difficulty, but by the time I completed my first A and B scenario, I was ready to jump up to normal difficulty, and that brought a whole new experience which kept the game exciting, with those weapon decisions becoming even more crucial while feeling that true survival horror pressure of having limited ammo and sometimes not enough ammo to be able to bring the ideal arsenal with you. The fixed camera was never the thing that scared me off from these games for so many years. I really love that aspect to the game, with the fixed camera making the game more of a curated experience that has a director at the helm deciding what we can and cannot see. It's like experiencing a video game and a movie at the same time, which for me was a delight. Early on in the game, there is a great example of this just after the famous licker window scene. A licker silently scurries past the window, with this happening so quickly you could totally miss it, and with it being a new enemy in the franchise at the time of release, even if you do see it, you're not quite sure what you saw. Of course, the strongest type of fear is the fear of the unknown, and they press that fear after you walk through this door with the camera deliberately placed tightly on us from outside the window that the licker just crawled toward. It makes you feel like it's going to come through the window at you, and if it doesn't, you can't see what's ahead either. It's brilliant, and it is specifically designed to play on your fear in that very moment, as when you walk through this door again, the angle is changed. This proves to be a fake out until you turn the next corner and come face to face with the licker for the first time. Such an awesome and iconic creature design. There's not much for me to say that hasn't already been said about lickers, but I will say that one of my favorite experiences in the game was getting to a door just in time to save me from a licker with me puckered up every time. Lickers will absolutely fuck your day up if you give them the chance. Same goes for the dogs that you can handle with any weapon, but if they swarm and catch you slipping, they can tear you up. Most of the other non-boss enemies I found to be memorable more so just for their existence rather than anything they provided for the gameplay. Like the crows, spiders, roaches, and larvae, I just ran past every time. But their existence added color to the game. Similar is the giant moth that I don't think hit me once during the 4 times I had to kill it, but I'll never forget it. The Ivy monsters were a bit more interesting, with them spitting acid at you from a decent range, which proved to be a challenge for me when playing as Leon, as I wanted to utilize the flamethrower to take them down, but the flamethrower only shoots so far. Them giving us a hug if you give them the chance was nice as well. The standard zombie enemies are classic, they are great, and are surprisingly dynamic, I thought. But we'll get into that in a little bit when we talk more about the game's weapons. As you already know, the game is split up into 4 unique scenarios. I started out with Leon A and Claire B, which was when I was on easy difficulty, and then I switched to normal difficulty for Claire A and Leon B. The 4 scenarios offer so much different from each other, along with the zapping system allowing your actions in the A scenario to affect your experience in the B scenario. I had been told plenty of times that the B scenarios were way more well crafted here in the original than they were in the remake, but it still impressed me.
Zap!
It blows my mind how much this game has to offer as a game that came out in 1998. The artistry and creativity that was poured into this game is truly astonishing. Apart from the B scenarios overall being much better in the original, the particular thing from the original that I prefer most over the remake was the portrayal of Chief Irons. In the remake, the moment he appears, he has a gun pointed at us, and we immediately know that he's a piece of shit. His portrayal overall is just less interesting, feeling like a psychopath we have seen a million different iterations of. In the original, we read notes about him before we meet him where he certainly seems questionable, but we really don't know what he's capable of. We finally come face to face with him, and he has the body of a young girl on his desk. I love this image, and I feel like it should be way more iconic than it is. He starts talking, and he sounds like a total freak, talking about her skin, sounding like Buffalo Bill.
Her skin nothing short of perfection. But it will soon putrefy, and she will turn into a zombie within the hour, like all the others.
At this point, you get the feeling that he's a bad guy, but he's talking sympathetically, and you still don't know for sure if he hurt this girl or if she was attacked by a zombie. You later find his diary confirming that he is up to no good, and then come face to face with him again in his dungeon, where he has a different tone as he exposes his true self while showing off this great voice acting performance.
Everyone's gonna die!
Calm down, Chief. What happened?
Shut up! You couldn't possibly understand what's happened. Those monsters from Umbrella have destroyed my beautiful town.
In the Claire A scenario, this scene ends with the G-Virus chestburster splitting him in half, which is great, but I actually prefer the B scenario version, in which the scene ends with him getting yanked by Birkin through this trapdoor in the floor, and then his top half is sent flying up from the unknown. He gets what he deserves, while also making us fear what on earth are we about to climb down into. The Chief Irons arc is short, but it's perfect from start to finish.
I'd really like to be alone now.
I mentioned Chief Irons' voice acting performance being great. It's funny some of the voice acting is terrible, like Claire in the opening cutscene.
There's a gun inside.
Better take it with you.
That did not bother me, as I was expecting bad voice acting like in the first game, but the voice acting overall was a plus for me. I loved Annette's voice acting, which is like an over-the-top anime villain performance.
You really don't know anything, do you? You're so gullible.
Ada is pretty dry, but I feel as though that works for her character.
I just found out. John's dead.
I liked Claire and Leon's voice acting compared to what I was expecting. Leon really went hard on that. My favorite thing about these performances, though, is that with the graphical limitations not being able to do much in terms of facial expressions, they compensate with all of these overly emphatic gestures.
There's no reason for us to stay any longer than necessary. Let's split up, look for any survivors, and get out of here.
Right.
Leon is so sassy at times, it had me cracking up. I was also dying when Leon hit this face change.
I can see you on the monitor.
Maybe it's just me, I don't know. I mentioned that I enjoyed playing through all 4 of the scenarios much more than I thought I would. What I found to be even more surprising is that this is how I thought I would rank my enjoyment of the scenarios, and it ended up being the exact opposite. The reason for those expectations were that I'm a Leon fanboy, and I liked his campaign more than Claire's by a slight margin in the remake. I also did not expect the B scenarios to knock my socks off as hard as they did, but my socks were knocked off harder than the head of a zombie who tries to crawl up on my girl Claire Redfield. You don't get to fight Birkin's second form in the B scenarios, which is my favorite form with his jean shorts making him look like the Incredible Hulk, but you do get to fight his third form, which also kicks ass, with his human face just barely visible in his chest. For both of the B scenarios, I love the inclusion of Mr. X. He certainly isn't as impactful as a pursuer in this game compared to the remake, but the remake made me love him, so I was happy every time he showed up. I was totally faked out and bummed out when he fell into the smelting pit thinking he was toast, and then cheered when he re-emerged shortly after. The Mr. X boss fight was also the most challenging in the game, which I like, and you get the great moment of Ada throwing the rocket launcher.
Ada, is that you? Ada!
I absolutely love the extra train ending after the fake out of thinking the game was finished. The cutscene following this final boss battle was great and is way better in the original than in the remake. And the song that hits during the credits for the B scenarios is insane. I love it. Ada's quote-unquote death scene hits way harder in Leon's B scenario with the kiss and her in his arms, opposed to falling into the abyss. Also, Leon shouts her name way more convincingly in the B compared to the A. For Claire's B scenario in particular, I already mentioned my appreciation for the Chief Iron stuff, which carries a lot of weight for me. Sherry doesn't get infected in Claire B, so you don't have to run backwards to pick her up from her tummy ache, which did not bother me much in the A scenario, but I would rather not have to deal with it if I'm being honest. I think I have more appreciation for Claire's B overall because it was the first of the 2 B scenarios that I played, and I just like both of Claire's campaigns more than Leon's, as her relationship with Sherry was more compelling than Leon's with Ada. I mean, just look at how adorable it is that Sherry grabs your hand when you stop moving. Aww. The scenes with the reporter in the jail cell for Leon are great, but I'm taking Chief Irons over the reporter. The other thing I prefer when playing as Claire was the weapons. It's by a razor-thin margin, as Leon's weapons certainly kick ass, especially when they're upgraded. Ripping burst shots with the Matilda, blasting the shotgun so hard that you move back a camera angle. Also, sawing zombies in half with the shotgun was so satisfying. This is what I had in mind earlier when I mentioned that the zombies are surprisingly dynamic. They can get blasted in half and have their top half still crawling after you. They can play dead and grab you from the ground. Look at this bastard thinking he's slick. Their top half can fall into you and grab a bite on the way down. They provide a lot with how they die.
I like the way you die, boy.
Back to the weapons. The Magnum is unbelievably satisfying, blowing zombies' heads off one by one, or sometimes 2 at a time, which felt amazing. I liken Leon's shotgun in Magnum to the Super Shotgun in Doom 2, where it just blows me away how satisfying they made these guns to use with such basic graphics. I did rob myself of Magnum enjoyment though.
Phrasing?
As I kept that sucker tucked away for the most part to save for the bosses, which it absolutely annihilated, like getting Ada to throw the rocket launcher after hitting Mr. X only 3 times on normal difficulty.
Here.
Just look at that kickback though, it's a thing of beauty. For Claire's weapons, I liked the bow gun way more than I thought I would. I love the spread aspect where you can stick one enemy with all 3 bows if you let them get close, or hit several enemies if they're at medium range. For the grenade launcher, I loved mixing up the types of grenades depending on the situation.
Say hello to my little friend!
For both the grenade launcher and bow gun, I just liked that I felt like I was actually aiming and could pull off a satisfying snipe with the grenade launcher, versus Leon's guns where it felt like the auto aim largely took the wheel. The flamethrower and the spark shot didn't do much for me, but I preferred being able to zap enemies at range over the short range flamethrower.
You've been zapped!
And speaking of zapping, the SMG can be used by either Leon or Claire depending on what you decide to do in the zapping department, and provided the pleasure of being able to hold down the trigger and let that thing rip. The last thing I want to mention is the overall atmosphere and sound design, which are both incredible. The song that plays as soon as you reach the RPD is dark and mysterious, which perfectly sets the tone for the experience ahead. The atmospheric sound design is great, with the sounds of rustling winds outside and crows squawking in the distance. The sounds of your footsteps change as you walk on different surfaces like wood, carpet, and broken glass. It's funny, I saw someone recently compliment Arc Raiders for the sound change of your footsteps on different surfaces. My brother in Christ, Resident Evil did it 30 years ago. Various sounds are great, like the G-Monster boss spitting babies out, which I love the nasty visual for as well. The save room music is great as always, giving you the feeling of a calming sanctuary amid the terror. I already mentioned the B scenario end credit song being a banger, but number 2 on that list is the music that plays during the countdown at the end of the game. It has no reason to go this hard, but it does, with the alarm and voiceover warning going off along with it. In addition to the sound design, the notes in the game add to the atmosphere, or more so the world building. Slowly uncovering the events that happened leading up to the game is done very well. The Watchman's Note in particular was my favorite piece of literature in the game, and I also appreciated the rolls of film showing these creepy images, adding to the mystery of what we're dealing with, versus being clues to puzzles and item locations in the remake. From top to bottom, Resident Evil 2 is incredible. It provided an experience that exceeded my highest expectations. It holds up incredibly well despite its outdated combat and graphics. Once you get a hang of it, this game feels oddly cozy to me, which is not something I expect in the horror genre, nor did I expect that playing a game that is this old, which oftentimes means quality of life features are lacking. I was shocked at how little I had to look up to get through this game, which goes to show how well designed it is. There are some things I prefer in the remake, like the utilization of Mr. X and Kendo's screen time thanks to the emotional addition of his infected daughter. Most of the emotional moments I think hit harder in the remake. The relationship between Leon and Ada I found to be more convincing in the remake. The relationship between Claire and Sherry I found to be more compelling, and they made me fall in love with Marvin before taking him away from us. But at the same time, that's not really a fair knock on the original, given that you could only do so much with the facial animations due to the graphics in the original versus characters looking like real people in the remake. I know so many people have said it, but I do think the original is much better overall. And I was not sure I would feel that way coming in. The B scenarios are way better, which is a huge deal and makes the replayability much better. Not to mention the extreme battle mode and arrange mode. You can really play this game forever. The overall atmosphere is better, the enemy variety is better, and that dirty dog, Chief Irons, is leagues better in a way that I never expected would carry so much weight for me.
I thought you were another one of those zombies.
Let me know your thoughts on Resident Evil 2 down in the comments. I would love to hear which scenario is your favorite and why. I'm moving on to play through Resident Evil 3 Nemesis for the first time, which I don't know how that game could possibly top RE2, but I guess we'll find out soon enough, and make sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to hear my thoughts on it. Alright everybody, I'll see you on the next one.